Welcome to the One Rental to Freedom podcast, creative investing strategies for building wealth and financial freedom through rentals. I'm your host, Chad Harris. All right, everybody, just so we're all clear on the name change, this podcast has recently changed its name to the One Rental to Freedom podcast. And it used to be called the True Wealth Investors Real Estate Podcast. The reason for the change was because we are narrowing the focus down specifically to rentals, how to build a portfolio of rentals without using any of your own money. And so we've been focusing our content on that topic for a while, and now the name is just reflecting that change. So I know you'll be excited by the upcoming guests we have and content we have coming. So make sure you stick with us through the name change. All right, welcome back. Good to see everybody to the newly renamed One Rental to Freedom podcast. If you want to buy rental properties, build cash flow, and create generational wealth, you are in the right place. So, what is seller financing? How do we have a conversation with somebody, a simple conversation, and get approved for the loan? That is the topic for today. How to actually get seller finance deals, because our guest, who I've been working on for a while to come on and share his secrets, is a master at seller finance deals. And so make sure you stick around. You are going to have a bunch of actionable ideas and content for how to have that conversation and find your next deal. All right. So without further ado, welcome, Alejandro Valdez. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, Chad, and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it, and we have known each other for years, right? We were in a mastermind together. You went through the private money course and coaching that I had. And I remember when we were talking about a seller finance deal, this was probably 2 or 3 years ago. And we were talking about, okay, just talk to him and see what he needs. And then you offer, so that you can meet his needs. And man, since then, holy mackerel, it's just exploded. You have run with it. And so I'm glad you came on and are willing to share not only your story, but some tips for everybody listening on how they can find those deals. Because for a lot of people, it is super elusive. Just how do I have that conversation, right?
Yeah, I
So,
feel like one of the major breaks in like everything for me was, um, well, I guess there'd be a two-part situation. One of them was just being authentic. People can sense if you're authentic or if you're not, and when you lead with authenticity, it makes the deals a lot more easier. And then number two, I was like really trying to root through these guys to try to find like what's really holding them back or how I could help them. Once I learned how to help them, like put them first and lead with authenticity, things really started changing for me.
dude, that right there is gold. We'll do a mic drop. We'll call it an episode and wrap this baby up. I love that. Lead with authenticity and find out what that seller needs or what they actually care about. That's huge. Okay, so we're going to dive into that. Real quick for everybody, just give a brief history of where you invest, how long you've been investing, and kind of what you've built.
Yeah, so my name's Alejandro Valdez. I'm in Springfield, Ohio, originally an Arizona native. Moved out here 12 years ago. Been investing for 12 years. I started off with just one rental. Just like you said, the path to just one.
Yeah.
It led to 89 rentals currently. I'm a buy and hold investor. I've done multiple things. I own a big apartment building as well. Um, and really, I started off just buying single family homes, buying them one at a time, saving up, doing all the rehab myself. And then I started investing in myself later in life. I started going to some of these masterminds. I talked to all the local guys, and I did come to your mastermind, which helped out extremely well. Then once I got my big break was really when I started learning how to set up seller financing deals. It took me about 7 years to get 7 rentals. And then I started coming to the mastermind. And in the last 4 years, I feel like I got 50, 60 rentals. It really blew up for me. Once I learned how to structure the deal right properly, and once I learned how to use other people's money and also how to do the seller financing as well.
Man, that's awesome. So yeah, I love that it took you 7 years to get seven rentals, right? And that was pretty much using the traditional model where you work and have a business and save the money for the down payment, do work yourself. And if you would have stayed at seven rentals is good, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's what a lot of people aspire to, but you wanted more. And in reality, if you would have kept that same model today, you'd probably be at 12 rentals or maybe 15 rentals. But once you learned how to structure deals, how to make seller financed offers, suddenly you've exploded into 89 rentals, right? And that is exponential growth and massively life changing, right? When I ran into you, that was probably 2 weeks ago at that real estate meetup, and there were two things you said that really stuck with me, resonated with me afterwards. One was, I may have to stop making offers because every time I make a seller financed offer, they say yes. I was like, oh man, that's a good problem to have. And then the second one was, um, I don't have to work at my job anymore, right? You have a business and you work in the business, but now that's a choice you can make, right? Because the real estate is so big. So
Yeah.
both
So,
of those, I mean, are amazing things. So congratulations on that.
well, thank you, man. And I just feel like I tell people this all the time. I'm a tattooer by trade. I love doing tattooing. I love doing art, but I do it because I love it. I do the real estate for money. And now I'm more of anything just a teacher here at the tattoo shop. I come in, I help the artists work on stuff that they really want to. And it's became a labor of love again, instead of going back to work or having a full-time job. Um, in my real estate program, it's really like worked itself out through a lot of trial and tribulations. We put a lot of systems in place. We hired some people that were real professionals, and now our stuff is running extremely smooth.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you self-manage too. That's great. Or manage in-house, I should say. It's not you doing the management, but
Yeah, we found a property manager that worked for a bigger company. We hired her for ourselves so we could keep her to ourselves. We put some new training in place, and it has been working extremely successful.
that's awesome. Okay. So we may get into that, but let's start on the seller financing. Okay, because I know that right now people are really after seller finance deals because one, I mean, there's a whole bunch of benefits to us as investors, right? The loan approval is super easy. Nobody's checking your credit score. Nobody's asking for 2 years tax returns. It's a conversation. Two, you can get into the deal without spending very much of your own money. Maybe it's just a little down payment and then you prorate the taxes and deposits when you buy the property. Um, and there's just a ton of benefits. You can get lower interest rates from the seller potentially than the bank, right? There's a whole bunch of things. So walk us through like a seller finance deal.
Well,
How did you find it? How did you talk to the seller? What was the process like? Let's remove the veil and demystify the process.
the greatest news is it happened to me, and that's where I learned a lot of like the inside stuff. I end up doing a lane contract with somebody, and through that process, it was really unveiled to me what the benefits were because I was receiving them. And through that, I was able to reverse engineer, like, how would I um, pitch this to somebody else? And in my opinion, most older landlords, because I buy bigger packages, um, they really wanted what they call the mailbox money. But
Mm,
get into the rentals, they got to deal with the taxes, title, insurance, people calling you about the toilets, and they weren't fully prepared for all of that. So when I approach them with the seller finance, I let them know based on the numbers that they would get what they actually wanted. No stress, but they will get that check every month. So it removes most of the stress from them. So that's one of my pitches, because some of the landlords that I meet are in distress. They've let their properties get distressed because they couldn't handle the maintenance or the deferred maintenance. So I right away start trying to take their pain away. That's the pain one. We take over their tenants and clean up the area. But number two, the thing that really I think helps sell them is I don't think that people realize the amount they would make extra with the percentage that the bank would have got. So if I buy a property from, say, you, and instead of going to the bank and paying the bank, which right now was 7.2, or I mean, anybody's rate could be different, but we just closed one at 6.9. If you put 6.9 on a bigger property, I think that we just did one at 8%. It was for 600, and it was an extra $44,000 a year per year on the loan. So when I go to pitch that to the seller, I let them know, like, if you hold this loan from me, even for a short period, like we would do a 15-year AM, but with a 5-year bubble. And over that 5 years, I show them on the amortization chart how much more extra they're making. They're making almost $44,000 extra a year. That is very enticing to a landlord who was actually losing money on these properties. So they make the extra cash flow, they get the true mailbox money. Um, and for me, it's beneficial because I bought properties that are a little bit in distress, and I know there's a lot of upside for me in them. So it's a win-win.
I love that. Let's unpack that, a little bit of that because man, that there was a lot in there. So one, you're addressing what they truly wanted, right? You're giving them what they actually got into being an investor for, the mailbox money, that passive monthly check. And we know that's possible as an investor because we have good management systems and a staff, and we have all the things in place to produce that. But for the average Joe investor out there who doesn't have the systems, that's kind of like a fantasy, right? They're dealing with the tenant phone calls and the toilets and the maintenance requests and everything else. So you're giving them that, and then you're kind of taking this property into stress and not only solving their problem, but I like how you make your offer. So you're actually rewarding them for
Correct.
giving the seller financing,
Correct.
right? Which is, man, that's like a total reversal for a lot of people. So some of you may have to rewind this part, rewind it just the 3 minutes prior and re-listen to that. Okay, so let's walk through just an example deal. Let's say the seller, just for round numbers, the seller wants 200,000. You think 200,000 is a fair offer. How do you explain to them, let's say the house is worth 250, 300. They want to. Okay, how do you explain to them what you're actually going to pay them, right? Because you kind of put it in terms of here's what you'll actually be paid, so then the purchase price isn't as important, right?
Correct. So one of the things that I like to do is, first I find out if they'll sell me the house. Once they've agreed to sell me that property at whatever price, then I bring up the fact that there is seller financing available. And they usually want a big amount up front. I let them know, like, what they might need that money for. And like you said, the purchase price isn't that very attractive once I offer them the percentage on the loan. because then they'll make the money plus the percentage and they're very happy with that. Then once I get them to see that part of the deal and understand it, then I let them know that I'm only going to pay 10% down so they could get some kind of bulk amount of money up front to do with whatever they needed in the first place to take care of whatever stuff they need. And that's usually how I go about it. And I've done it so many times now that I feel really confident in it. And I really believe the seller, they want to know that you feel confident in these deals and that you can actually achieve them. So I have multiple deals that I finished already that I can show them and prove to them that this system works. And that really helps out.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, the seller wants to know. They ask for security, and
Correct.
usually newer investors think, well, that means a mortgage or this legal document and here foreclosure or whatever. But really, they want you to look them in the eye and say, I will make the payments and I will pay you off when the balloon is due, right?
One
That's what they want. Yeah. So, okay, so let's an offer. Let's say it's $200,000 just to make sure I understand correctly and everybody listening understands. And you're going to pay $1,000 a month, let's say principal and interest on this loan, and it's for 5 years, so you would be paying $60,000 for the 5 years of before there's a balloon. Those are not accurate numbers on an amortization, but we're just using round numbers, right?
Yeah,
So then you would essentially say, I'm going to pay you $260,000 for your property, right?
correct.
Yeah, I love that because to them, that's a major reward. This property they think is worth 200, they're going to get paid 260. They're going to get to brag to their friends and spouse and family and everybody else, man, I got this amazing deal.
Yeah.
And for you as the investor, you would pay that interest to the bank anyway,
One
right?
That's why I'm so happy with the deal. I know there's so much upside. I was going to pay that money regardless, but why pay it to the bank when I could pay it to them? And like you said, they went from 200 to 260 on something they know is super secure. Why do they know it's secure? Because not on say the house burns down. For me, it doesn't really matter because I have so many other properties and I have such a good track record that they know I'm going to pay no matter what, and I will take care of the property no matter what. So for them, they feel it's very secure to pass it to me. They're getting huge upside on it, no more problem with the maintenance, and they feel very secure. So I've taken care of them in all three areas: extra money, reward, security, um,
Man,
and
that's huge.
no more maintenance, no more headache. I've relieved their stress, gave them security, and they've made more.
And then, yeah, and then when you're refinancing, let's say that 5 year balloon, you've got 5 years of debt pay down where you're reducing the debt that you owe that seller. You've got 5 years of appreciation. You've got the forced appreciation because you improved the property, you raised rents if it's a multifamily. I mean, in that 5 years, the numbers will drastically change on that deal, all in your favor. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, 100%.
So, on the idea, okay, do you earlier, I think it was around episode 200, the guest there, David O, talked about because I tend to price set on the low price. I can offer you this much cash, all cash, man, we'll close in 7 days. Or if I can pay you over time, I'll pay more and then offer the higher price. David O had a reverse strategy. He offered the really high price. He was a realtor too, so I can list your property at this really high price, or I can pay you this much over time. Or if you desperately need the money right now, I'll give you this low all cash offer. How do you set the price? Do you talk about the price they're looking for, or do you just go in with the amount you're going to pay them over 5 years, right? With our example, do you talk about the 200 purchase price or go straight to the 260?
Well, in my process, for me personally, I usually fill them out. I talk to them first and I just see where their price is at. And I usually have this narrative in my own head, which says, if you pick the price, I'll pick the terms, or if you pick the terms, or
Mm,
I pick the
yeah,
terms. Then
yeah.
so, and I'm usually okay with that. Like if they just want money now, I'm gonna go on with the lowest price. But if they want more money, that's fine. I'll pay you a lot more. But I'm gonna pick the terms, and I'm gonna set them terms up for what I know a future refinance could be, to where I'm gonna put myself into a power position. But they will make a lot more on it. So if they pick the price, I pick the terms. If I pick the terms, they can pick the price.
Love it. That's awesome. And since you talked about security, I know most people struggle with, especially if they're newer, right? If maybe they haven't done a deal, maybe they've done two or three deals. And people struggle with this with private money too. Why would somebody loan me money if I don't have experience, just the same as a seller? Why would they give me their house for just a little bit of money and the promise to make them payments? What are some key things you use to demonstrate that credibility or security for them?
Well, I guess in the when I very first started, I guess the first thing I gave them as a security was rock solid communication. Because when I was brand new, I didn't have some of the things that I could show them now, which was a proven track record. Or so I started off with rock solid communication. I talked to them. I never dodged a phone call. I was extremely transparent with the deals. They could see it, check on it at any time, and I made sure I paid on time.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Once I got further, then I had more stuff to show. I could show a proven track record by showing the last 5 deals I did for big amounts, how they worked out, that they were paid off. I had references. I also had breakdowns of the deals, and I could show that to them.
Sharp. Yeah, I love that. So even before you had the track record and the deals, just by demonstrating you're a person who does what they say they're going to do, even in as simple a thing as picking up the phone call, answering the question, right? Those little things, I'm sure when you scheduled to meet the seller at the property, let's say, you were there on time, right? You communicated professionally. Yeah, that's huge. And really don't give them a reason to doubt that you would not
Yeah.
do what you say you're going to do.
Even,
Sure.
even when things weren't going super great, because this is real estate and everything doesn't go great, I made sure that I communicated. I never dodged a phone call, even if it was not a great of a call. And people can respect that. If things ain't going good, so be it. I'm going to take care of it, and that check's still going to hit on perfect on time.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
communicative really helped.
And really, that's the reward you're selling them, right? That they are like the bank. They get their check no matter what, whether the tenant pays, doesn't pay, whether the furnace is running or not running, however the rehab goes, they get their check. So demonstrating that is huge. Okay. Now I'm sure everybody listening is like, well, that sounds great and all. And Alejandro, he must be finding these amazing people who are just desperate to give their properties away. I don't know, he has some secret source. So let's address that elephant in the room. How do you find the deals and how do you find these sellers?
Well, I'll tell you, I wasn't really big on Facebook. Um, like I said, I got my first 7 houses. I was very quiet about it. Most people didn't know I owned them, but I do own a tattoo shop. Then I took some of these courses, and I realized through another friend of mine that you have to have visibility. And one of the things that I did is I started showing my wins on Facebook, because a lot of these people that are out there that have a deal or own a house and they're looking to sell it, they wanted to sell it to someone who has a proven track record. So
Mm,
even when I was newer, they want to sell to someone who can close the deal. They want someone they can trust and they can close with. So I started opening myself up first on social media, and I would post, I closed a house. I would post a refinance. And I did it first, and then I did another one and another one. Then I got a phone call. They were like, "Hey, man, I seen you on social media." Then I closed a few more. A bigger investor was like, "Hey, you're really closing out here, man. I got a serious deal. I'm looking for someone who understands how to do the creative financing." I talked to him. I closed a bigger deal. Another landlord hit me up. Pretty soon, I had to stop talking to these people because every time I talked to them, they said yes. I could, I mean, I got four houses in my phone right now. I mean, they just say yes. They want to close. They want to close with someone they know is reliable. So I started putting myself on social media. I started putting my wins out there. Even though I'm a private person, I still just started putting my wins out there because people want to see. And
That's
that's
awesome.
look,
That's awesome. Yeah, and huge. And, social media is such a powerful tool in that one person sees your post, they automatically see other people they know that are friends with you. You automatically get some sense of credibility because people are, I'm sure, congratulating you on those posts, right? Recognizing the things you're doing well. A lot of people I talk to about social media, they struggle with, well, I don't want to brag or I don't want to come across as acting like I know everything, right? Is there a certain way you craft your posts so that you can share what you're doing without coming across as I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. You all need to bow down to me, right? And we all have seen those kinds of posts from people. Is there any secret sauce to how you post and share it?
well, I try to craft my post not so much to like make myself look good. I do it that our business has successfully took down another big deal. I sometimes post that we make creative financing, and I put little snippets in there for other people so they can see it. That if 1,000 people see it, one person seeing that was a creative financing deal. I wonder if he would do that with me. Um, or I'd say, hey, me and a partner close this deal. Then someone out there that was looking to partner might say, oh, he takes partners. So I put little snippets in there for the community. So when they see that, if they had that inkling of something, it would be something that would open a door.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm thinking of the posts of yours I've seen. There's really nothing bragging at all. It's more just like, hey, this happened, and a picture of you at the title company or a picture of the property, and not even focused on you necessarily, just this event happened, right? Our business acquired another property, which I really like. And it sounds like the other things you're adding in there so that they see they could be the seller or they could have the benefits, they could be a partner in your deal. One thing I recommend with when you're raising private money is making a post where it's almost like the lender is the hero, right? We
Yeah.
purchased this property, rehabbed it, rented it to a great tenant, refinanced it. Our lender made a great return on their money and they're ready for their next deal. It's like the person seeing the post should be thinking what we want them to think is, how do I be that lender, right? How do I
100%.
get to be that guy? Which sounds like the same thing you're talking about with your posts for sellers.
100%.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I mean, that very easily answers or addresses the person who says, well, I know I should post on social media, but I don't want to brag. Well, this is exactly how you do it, right? You just share what's happening in the business or share it in a way that the seller or the contractor or the private lender are the hero and you're not the hero. You're not bragging. You're almost bragging about what a great deal the seller got or the lender. That's awesome. So when a person reaches out to you, do you feel like if it comes from social media or essentially most of your leads are coming from referral? Is that
Correct.
right? Okay. So it's not a cold conversation. You're not trying to explain who you are necessarily. They have some context for who you are.
Yeah.
Do you
I
feel like that helps with the negotiation? Excuse me.
Well, a lot of the referrals that I do get are people that I've never known, or they come from like a third party. Like I knew somebody and they recommended a third party. So one of the things I do is I'm a talker. I always have been. I try not to do too much communication on social media. I tell them, yeah, I would love to sit down and talk with you. When can we meet? And I meet them in real life. I feel like um, that I almost always close if I just talk to them in real life. Social media is good for showing stuff, but like people want human communication. And I show up, I talk to them, I find out what they really want.
That's
It's
awesome.
hard to gauge that stuff through a text, but in real life, I could look right in their face. I could see what's bothering them, and then we can address that.
That's awesome. And I always talk about that people make decisions based on emotion. They
100%.
just rationalize it with logic, right? And I think when they meet you, they're going to say, "Oh, this guy's serious." Right? He's experienced. He knows what he's talking about. And internally, they've already decided, I can trust this guy. I believe what he says. And you share your deals and your credibility. They're just rationalizing the decision they've already made, right? In
Yeah.
their heart, they already know they trust you. That's awesome. Do you try to meet them at the property or what's the initial meeting like?
I I read The Rich Dad Poor Dad. Don't laugh at me. And one of the things I loved about it, he said, and my poor dad was like a general operating out of our house. So I have like coffee room in my house. I invite him straight over to my home. We drink coffee in my house and we sit and we talk. And I mean, in my head, I always had that from that book. And I just think that's real life. Like I invite him right into my home. We,
Man,
we,
I love that. How much more authentic can you get
um,
than swing by my house and let's have a cup of coffee?
yeah. They
Sharp.
they do well. They like it. They show up. They compliment me on the house. We sit down in the living room or in our like meeting room area. We have coffee and we talk. Man, it's very private. Yeah.
Man, rock star advice there. Dude, that is awesome. Okay. So for someone who's listening, they're like, okay, I get it. I can talk to the seller. I think I understand a little bit about how to structure the deals, right? That takes a little bit of learning how to structure payments. What would you say what should be for that person, the investor who's like, this is kind of the solution to my problem. I need to do a seller finance deal. What is a good first step? What should they focus on?
I guess like one of the best things for me was understanding the structure and the numbers. Once I had that math in my head, of course I have a amortization calculator on my phone. So that really helped out is just understanding what can I buy it for, what can I sell it for, um, quick idea of what my renovations per square foot was, and then like if I sell it for this price, I would make this. That's what they would probably want to make if it was fully sold. And then how can I make the numbers achieve that through the amortization calculator? I let them know if we go 5 years, you would make this much. You want to sit on a long-term loan? You let's use the $200,000 house. Say you sell it to me. I tell them like this. This is how I like adjust my negotiation. Say I want the house, they want 200 for it. I know it's worth 300, but I only want to pay 150. So I say instead of me doing it for 5 years, look at this amortization calculator right now because the loan usually got all the upside in the first 10 years. And I show them that this is per year, how much more you would make on that. I would be willing to cut you in on these other 4 years if you bring that front price down. So instead of paying 200 for it, now I'm going to pay 150 and I added 3 more years to the creative financing. And really, I was going to pay that loan in the first place. But for them, that is a huge win. $30,000 to a regular person is a huge win. 30, 60, 90,000 extra for 3 extra years is a massive win. For
Solid, solid goal.
my
Yeah.
is there. And once I understood all of that math, the amortization calculator, what I could buy it for, what I could sell it for, my rehab costs. Once I knew those three things, then I was able to put them together and make them work together in a like adjustable calculator, you know? And I have all that stuff prepared when I talk to them so I could show them because people want to see the numbers. They want to know that you know the numbers, that this isn't a guess. Hey, this is exactly how many years. This is the number put in. This is the number put out. This is the calculator at this percentage.
Awesome. So yeah, so it sounds like know your numbers, right? Understand the profitability of that asset and know actually what you can pay, what payment you can make. That's huge. And then just be willing to talk to the seller and just be
100%.
authentic. Here's who I am. Here's the why I'm making this offer. Those two things. And I loved how you said it in there. Hopefully everybody caught it, right? You would bring them in the deal, or I forget the exact wording. I would allow you or give you the chance. I heard I'll give you the opportunity to make interest on th for 3 more years, right? I will give you the chance to make this much more by staying in the deal this much longer, which is completely true and beneficial to them, but the reverse of how most investors say it. Most investors would say, well, it would really help me if you would just give me seller financing for 8 years instead of 5, right? But so much more effective the way you're doing it. Man, that is huge. So love it. All right, for everybody, I feel like I could have taken a page of notes from this conversation. Make sure you go back and re-listen to this for just how to just talk, a few key phrases, how to have that conversation. If you're not confident with your numbers, make sure you get in a group, get around people who know their numbers and can explain that to you. Those two skills alone will drastically change your future, get you the deals you want, and you'll be surprised. I think you'll be amazed how easy it becomes when you have those two skills. So, Alejandro, I appreciate you coming on today. If somebody wants to find out more about you and kind of see what you have going on, what's the best way for them to do that?
I'm on Facebook. My name's Alejandro Martin Valdez, a real estate investor. Yeah, I'm out here.
All right. He
Out here
is
in the real
legit.
world.
He's the real deal. So definitely hop on Facebook, follow him, see what he has going on because it is a steady stream of deals, and I know you'll be glad you do. All right. Thank you again for coming on. Always enjoy seeing you. For everybody listening, if you actually got benefit from this conversation, which I am certain you did, make sure you share it with somebody else, give them that information. We want to help more people. And as always, like, subscribe, follow, help us reach more people so that we can help more investors buy those rentals and change their financial future, not only for this generation in their life, but generations to come. All right. I will see you again next week. As always, until then, keep building your dream life one door at a time. I hope you enjoyed this episode. A lot of people recognize that they need to raise money from everyday private lenders, but they feel a little intimidated about it. And one of the things that I hear time and time again is that, well, that's great, but I just don't know the right people, right? I'm just not in contact with people with a lot of money and they're willing to lend that money on my deals. And that's a belief that a lot of people have. And so I want to help you make sure you recognize in your network who are those potential private lenders, or If you're truly not in those circles, if you're not around the right people, I want you to know where to go find those potential private lenders. All right. So if you want to be able to find private lenders, I have a free resource for you. You can just go to truewealthinvestors.com/find lenders. We'll give you 37 places to find your potential private lender. And maybe not all of them work for you. You might not really like all 37, but there's going to be a handful that are perfect for you, that fit, so that you can get the private lender, start that relationship, have that discussion, and get your deal funded. Purchase, rehab, closing costs, everything. All right. So go to truewealthinvestors.com/find lenders and you'll get that great resource. All right. Thanks. We are adding new episodes every week, so make sure to follow and subscribe. If you are a real estate investor or want to get started investing and you want to grow or scale with our help, go to truewealthinvestors.com. That's truewealthinvestors.com and schedule a short discovery call. I'll look at where your business is and offer a proven plan to get you and your business to the next level. We'll see you on the next episode.